right, folks, welcome to Stupiracy. My name's Scott Rizzuto. That there's Tim McKernan.
Hello, friends.
So, Stupiracy. Stupid history, conspiracy theories.
That's right.
Today, it's about conspiracy theory.
I can't wait for this one.
So,
I can't wait for this one.
What are the big conspiracy theories? The moon landing's fake.
That's a nice one.
Loch Ness,
JFK is probably the most prominent one.
Loch Ness Monster, you know, Bigfoot. These are all tall tales. These are conspiracy theories. That's been covered to death. I got one today that you may not have heard of.
Not until you told me about it.
And I'm just going to tell you, everything that your geography teacher told you is a lie. It's a lie. Because today, we're going to talk about the conspiracy theory that Finland is not real. Finland doesn't exist. That's right,
goodness.
Finland does not exist.
An entire nation doesn't exist? I mean, can't we like get a flight right quick and check this out?
All your questions will be answered in today's episode of Stupiracy. Now, what do you know about the country of Finland? Not much, I'll bet.
That's the answer. That is actually the correct answer. Not much. You're about to school me, though.
Well, and we were talking before we started recording, like, who are some famous people from Finland?
Right.
There's not really many you and I would know. Well, Finland is officially known as the Republic of Finland. Okay. It borders Sweden to the northwest, Norway to the north, Russia to the east. Population of 5.6 million people. That's a little less than the state of Minnesota. Capital is Helsinki. That's correct.
Thank you.
I got you.
Telepathy.
I got you, Tim. Famous bands from Finland. The group Him, the group Nightwish, the Rasmus, Apocalyptica, Children of Bodom, and the 80s hair metal band Hanoi Rocks.
Wow. And was it Vince Neil who was driving one of the members of
I believe
Hanoi
the drummer,
Rocks?
The guy's name was Razzle.
Yes, that's right.
The famous drunk driving incident
correct.
when Vince Neil from Motley Crue, where the fella from Hanoi Rocks died.
That's right. Now, I thought that the band Aha of Take On Me fame, 85 somewhere in there, are they not Finnish?
They may be Norwegian.
And that's not fair to just judge everybody in Scandinavia as one. It's not fair to
I'm
them.
going to say they're Swedish.
Okay.
Technically, I don't think Finland is part of Scandinavia.
Is that right? I'm learning even more. Accidentally, I'm learning things.
Somebody could fact check me on that.
Right.
Honestly, I really don't know much about the country. What if I were to tell you that Finland wasn't real?
I don't understand how that's possible.
There's a real conspiracy theory, and people do actually believe that Finland does not exist. And that is today's episode. Finland isn't real. Yes, the Finland conspiracy. Now, the origin of this conspiracy theory is about 10 years old, so this is a fairly new one. It all started on a Reddit thread titled, "What did your parents show you to do that you assumed was completely normal, only later to find out that it was not normal at all?" So a user replied, "My parents never believed in Finland. I grew up to never believe in Finland until I researched it further. It's a pretty heated topic in my family." Now, he says that when he was around 8 or 9 years old, his parents just casually brought up one morning when they were watching the news and Finland was mentioned. He said that it didn't seem that big of a thing at the time because when you're a kid, whatever your parents say, it's gospel, right? Now, I understand not believing in a religion, not believing in Santa Claus, hell, I'll even give you the moon landing. But a whole country not existing, there's a whole lot of moving parts to fake a country into existence. And this conspiracy theory has it all. Japanese fishing routes, Nokia phones, the Trans-Siberian Railway. Some people believe that there is no landmass where you see Finland on a map. In its place is nothing but the cold and lonely ocean. So in your mind, and maybe we'll put up the map on the screen here if you're watching on the video part, you see normally where Finland is.
Sure.
But no, that's not real.
It's just water.
Yeah. And doing my research on the Finland theory, you could tell that most people see this as a joke, you know, like a parody. But there's a good 10% of people who genuinely believe this is a real conspiracy theory. So here we go. And you know, we'll take our first break. After the break, I'll tell you why that world map you're so used to seeing is a lie.
I can't wait. And how do the wonderful people at Nokia get involved in this? I guess you're going to tell me on that too.
I'll tell you after the break.
All right, fair enough.
All right, we're back with more Stupiracy and the Finland Isn't Real conspiracy. Now, the Finland conspiracy states that Finland is not a real country, and in fact, there's no actual landmass there at all. And the space between Sweden and Russia is actually empty ocean. Now, this is all pretty much laid out on Reddit, and you know how everything on Reddit is completely 100% true.
That's correct. That's correct.
And this is where the conspiracy theory took off. Now, Finland was first created sometime during the Cold War between Russia and the West. And it was also around that this time that environmentalism and the idea of preserving our planet was really catching fire. And it's because of both these things, the Cold War and the environment, the two main players in the Finland conspiracy came to work closely with each other, Russia and Japan.
That's who's involved in this.
This is who is involved in the Finland conspiracy. Now, Japan and Soviet relations have always been incredibly secretive. Now, for example, in 1925, Japan and Soviet Union had secret deals with each other regarding fishing rights between the two countries, with the Soviets giving up a lot of fishing rights to Japan with really no explanation as to why. And these secret treaties and alliances continued right up until just before the Soviet Union collapsed. Now, a lot of people look at World War II, and there's some weird stuff going on there, too, between those two countries.
Now, that's where I was immediately going to go. Russia and Japan, they're on opposite sides in World War II.
Right. So why at the height of World War II were the battles between those two countries minimal, despite being on opposite sides and despite being very close to each other? Why did Japan sign a peace treaty with Russia in 1941, just months before their allies, the Germans, went to war with Russia? According to the conspiracy theory, the answer is simple. They shared a common secret: Finland.
It's all about Finland.
It is. So I couldn't find when Finland was first thought up. You know, some people say it was during the Cold War. Others say it was as far back as the 1920s. But why was it necessary to make up a country? It's not that complicated, actually. So Japan can fish in the ocean between Sweden and Russia without worry of environmental repercussions. Nobody is going to enforce fishing regulations in a place where people think there is no fishing. It's a landmass. Everybody thinks Finland is there. There's land. But if there's no land where it's actually empty ocean, who's going to stop anybody from fishing there with any kind of regulation?
Because theoretically it does not exist.
Right.
Oh,
right.
Wow.
So what does Russia get out of the deal? They get a percentage of the fish to give to their people. The Japanese fish the Finnish Sea, transport it across Russia. They say this is the real reason for the construction of the Trans-Siberian Railway. And they ship it from the East Russian coast to Japan under the guise of Nokia products.
Nokia is now tied in.
Remember Nokia phones?
Of course, absolutely.
Nokia is a telecommunications company based in where people think Finland is. Nokia is the biggest Finnish company, and it's also why Japan is the biggest importer of Nokia products, despite the fact that very few people own Nokia phones in Japan. See, this is all tying together. So they think on the railways it's Nokia phones, but it's actually fish coming from the Finnish Sea.
But not Finland, because of course
there is no Finland.
There is no Finland.
Now I know you have questions. You know, what about people who say they're from Finland? What about, I don't know, satellite images?
That's what I was thinking. That's what I've been thinking the whole time.
Dude, I got all the answers.
What do we got?
I got all the answers. Well, let's take our another little break.
I mean, you could just let's just get a little picture real quick. That's it. And then we wrap this thing up. That's all.
Yeah, we have the technology to take pictures from, miles above the earth. Right. But no, it's all lies. So you got the questions. I got the answers. After the break, everything will become even clearer.
God bless America. We're going to figure out this Finland problem.
More Stupiracy and the Finland Isn't Real conspiracy next. All right, welcome back to Stupiracy. Finland isn't real. Now, that's what some people actually believe. Now, we told you before the break why Japan and Russia aren't cahoots. But there are obviously some questions. Again, a lot of moving parts to make this a reality. And there's a Reddit thread that has answers to all this stuff. So what about the Finnish people? Are they in on this conspiracy? Surprisingly, no, actually.
They're not.
No, people from Finland genuinely believe they're from Finland. In reality, they're from small towns on either the eastern part of Sweden, the western part of Russia, or the northern part of Estonia. They've been told their whole lives they've been living in Finland, when in reality, they're actually in other countries. Now, what about all of Finland's other exports other than Nokia? Now, Finland's three biggest areas of industry: oil, tech, and software. The oil is gathered in offshore platforms where the rest of us think that landmass of Finland is. Again, the Japanese get to avoid rigging regulations this way. I already told you about the tech companies with Nokia earlier, and software companies can easily redirect their IP addresses through the Finnish Sea. As for other Finnish exports, like Santa's from Finland, do you know that?
I did not. I had always been told he was from the North Pole, so you're kind of ruining my my
Santa.
youth.
If you look up like, hey, where's Santa really from? They say he's from Finland. Well, Santa isn't real either. So
coming in a future episode,
Santa's not real. Now, what about the capital of Helsinki?
Yeah, what about that?
Huge city on the world stage. Well, Helsinki is actually in eastern Sweden, and it's not like people flying there would notice. Welcome to Helsinki. You're actually in Sweden. Now, what about everywhere else in Finland? There's a lot to it, and it couldn't all be made up. Finland is 99% forest. A lot of it doesn't need to be accounted for when we're talking about Finnish geography. So 99% forest, who cares?
Because it's covered by dense foliage.
Right.
So we can't track it.
Right.
Helsinki's in Sweden.
Helsinki's in Sweden.
And the rest of the country is dense foliage.
The Finnish people believe they're in Finland, but they're actually in other countries. All right, so why would other countries go along with it?
That's another question I got.
Now, at first, it was a sign of goodwill between Western countries and the Soviet Union, a bargaining chip that could be played. But Finland has since evolved into something much more. And I'm reading this from the Reddit thread here. An idealistic placeholder for what countries should aspire to. No real country could so consistently place first in education, healthcare, gender equality, literacy rates, national stability. The least corrupt government in the world, freedom of the press. It's a concept for countries and people to aspire to.
It's a utopia.
It's a utopia that does not exist.
No!
There's no way a country could be this cool. It's just like Santa.
Well, you're killing two things here.
There's no way this could be real. But that's where the problems about Finland's existence is disputed. No country in the world could possibly be this good. And why the name Finland? Why the name Finland?
Fins on a...
You don't find it odd that the country made up for fishing? What do fish have? Fins? Duh, Finland.
I've been thinking that the entire time, honestly. And I'm glad we came full circle on that. That's the reason for the name.
And what about the Finnish language?
Yeah, who speaks that?
I mean, if you actually look up the similarities between Japanese and Finnish, they're pretty similar, which is weird considering the vast distance between.
Is that right? Really?
What would be Finland and Japan?
The Finnish language and the Japanese language are very similar?
Yep. This is a big conspiracy, Tim. It's so big, how could something like this be kept a secret for so long? How could nobody blow the whistle on this? Imagine the ridiculousness of the statement, I don't believe Finland exists.
Right.
Nobody would believe you. You don't want to be the nutcase to be shouting from the mountaintops that I know for a fact that Finland doesn't exist. Everybody's going to think you're a kook.
100%.
That's why everybody's been kind of worried about being institutionalized
by being public about
this
disbelief in the existence of this nation.
Right. And what about GPS and satellite images?
This, to me, if I were trying this case, that's what I would go to finish up my presentation to the jury.
Tim, manipulated and forged. No. And the parts of Estonia, Sweden, and Russia that are allocated as Finnish zones, the GPS locations are changed to match that of Finland. Satellite images are forged.
So when you're up in space and you're taking a picture of Finland, it's doctored.
Yes.
So the astronauts are in on this.
What do they know? They're just looking down. They don't see any borders or anything like that.
They just see water with the Japanese fishermen.
Right.
Lots of fishermen from Japanese having a wonderful day. We'll go about our business, floating around up here.
So, yeah, they get the satellite images. It'll go to some secret cabal. They will then doctor the images, forge the images, and then send them out to the public.
How many people are involved in this conspiracy? It seems like there'd be millions of people who are aware of this, and you just found a Reddit thread.
I don't know how many people are involved in the actual conspiracy itself.
Yeah, you weren't going to like say, well, actually, here are the 7 who know.
But I don't know. I think this is proof beyond a reasonable doubt that Finland does not exist. At this point,
yeah, the jury already has returned with the verdict. Finland does not exist.
Did I convince you?
I am alarmed. I knew nothing about it, but when we were just talking right before we started up, I go, yeah, who's from Finland? And you didn't really have many people. And I said, what's the biggest company from Finland? And you go, Nokia. And I immediately said, I thought that was a Japanese company. Nope. And you go, And then you just explained the whole deal.
Yep.
Now I'm going to find myself digging into this and going down a rabbit hole and trying to figure something out.
I think even adding to the conspiracy, there's not really much about this floating around on the internet.
Outside of this
Reddit thread.
Which, of course,
maybe an article or two.
Yeah. This isn't something like Cronkite was breaking down 50 years ago.
This is not.
Say we heard something.
This is not as big as the moon landing or, the JFK conspiracy theories, but I don't know, man.
If an entire nation that I used to call Scandinavian, apparently wrong, does not exist, we got a situation on our hands.
We do.
Yeah. I guess I got to go digging now.
And I hope I convinced all you.
Finland
is not real.